Hey everyone, TDR Traded Black back here in Chicago live stream. We had some news earlier this morning pertaining to safe banking, but let's recap the day as we're speaking again and once again with the biggest thought leaders in the space. We've welcomed in the Chief Investment Officer of Veranon Holdings, trades on the CSC of the ticker symbol VRNO. Aaron Miles, back to the podcast. Good to see you in person finally.
Chad, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Seeing you. Lions.
2-1,
buddy.
2-1. Should be 3-0, but we'll take the overtime loss to the Seahawks and be 2-1. So
yeah. Anthony Verrill, good to see you. It's been a long day.
It's been a great day, but I'm a Dolphins fan, so I mean it's looking good this season.
Should we pull this out? It's been a long day. Should we take a who to this or what? Lazy Susan on. Anyways, let's recap the day itself. We had some safe passes committee, 14-9 votes. Some positive momentum, I would say, for the industry. Cautiously optimistic is the term that we're hearing. But for the most part, what's your big takeaway from today? Are you seeing and feeling a lot of positive sentiment towards the industry?
You know, I don't think the market showed that, but I think what you saw was the continued momentum of after the HHS announcement, right? And for us, you know, obviously you want to get safe across the finish line. You want to get the rescheduling across the finish line. But as long as it's continued to be talked about, that's the positive. And now you have it being talked about at the highest level of government with the administration putting out the recommendation. So the 14-9 outcome, I think, was completely in line with what we thought. We think the votes are really starting to fall in. And, you know, you're looking at a potential floor vote for the Senate in, you know, maybe October, November. But, you know, I think this is the positive momentum that we were hoping for.
Yeah. Don't you agree?
It's great news. I mean, I think right now it's just uncertainty around timelines. I mean, I think everybody's kind of like grasping at straws, like when does this come to fruition? What happens first? Safe, HHS. It's really a lot of uncertainty. And I mean, around the market, yeah. I mean, we saw stocks trading all over the place today.
Which brings me to my next question. What day will rescheduling happen in safe banking pass, Aaron?
I'll give you a time frame. How about that? Between now and when the Lions win the Super Bowl. But no, I'll say this. You know, if you look at what's really playing out here is the Biden administration has made this very political. And when the student loan debt didn't play out, I think the way the administration wanted, you're starting to see another card that needs to get played for this consortium of voters. And so, you know, you were hearing this recommendation was going to come out in the fall. It got pushed up into the, September. So if it's not there, I don't see this card being played. But again, you know, I just said on a panel, and I was joking, like, we're going to get ready for this to pass, and then aliens are going to invade Earth and say, no, nice try, cannabis, right? You know, it's like anything that could possibly happen to delay this. But all joking aside, I mean, positive momentum is continuing. It's being talked about, you know, but for us, and I want to be really clear here, it's like we're not making any assumptions and never have with the way that we've built the business, which is really showing up in our financial performance. So
in your backyard, Chicago, Illinois. Big old Illinois, to say the least. But we have talked a little bit about the Florida market in the last couple of podcasts, and I'd like to get your take, like how big, we understand how big that market potential is, but does this pass at all use?
You know, right now it's probably a 50-50 split, right? I mean, you know, you have the AG coming out and really talking down the aspects of cannabis getting into the bill. But I mean, if this goes to vote, the positive, I mean, and you're a Florida resident, I mean, the momentum's there, the backing's there. You would think that if it can get to the vote, it's going to pass. And we were literally just talking about this before this turned on. You know, this is a program that was built under DeSantis. So I think the misconception is that, well, DeSantis is running for president and he's anti-cannabis, but the largest medical program in the world is now built under the DeSantis administration. So if you can destigmatize cannabis and really look at what this could mean for the state of Florida and for a candidate like a DeSantis, I mean, GDP numbers go up, taxation goes up, you know, growth in the general economy goes up. There's a lot to like about cannabis, minus the aspect that it has been, stigmatized. So, but I was going to say this. I would say we're cautiously optimistic, but Florida alone could be a standalone business for us.
I mean, Florida's Florida. I mean, I think it's going to be it's the strongest medical market in the country, and I mean, adult use will just kick it to another higher notch. I guess, what else are you looking at right now that's like exciting you about the industry? I mean, I know we talked about a lot of the regulatory shifts, but fundamentally with the business for Veranon, what's next?
So fundamentally, I mean, quick recap: Q2 234 on the top line, 3% sequential growth, 5% year over year, 31% margins, and that's including an inventory impact as we pulled back to around 100 days. $16 million of free cash flow. See, like, that's the key. So everyone's talking about generating cash, and we're actually talking about doing it, right? And so The 16 million led us to raise the lower end of our guidance range of our free cash flow to 65. So now we have 65 to 75 million of free cash flow. Now you start layering in what HHS recommendation and stuff could look like. We've quantified a 280E elimination of around 80 to 100 million dollars dropping to the bottom line. Right. So we're leading the industry in a guidance perspective of 65 to 75. We have $103 million of cash in our balance sheet. And it's showing you that we're building this company for the here and the now, which means if we have opportunity to actually operate in the US, it's off to the races because we're going to accelerate already.
I did a panel earlier today about Canadian companies like the Canopies of the world entering into the US market and how a lot of institutional investors are looking at management companies that understand capital structure. And the two companies that come to mind of examples, MariMed, I should say three, Harrison and Veranon was a lot of the feedback. So you've talked about execution, not doing too much, but focusing on your strengths. That is the key moving forward, is it not?
Yeah. I mean, you look at what happened when we went public. We closed on the AltMed transaction, which gave us the access to Florida and Arizona. And then we literally racked off 15 acquisitions. So we're not scared to execute, and we show a high ability to get these deals closed, which is kind of an outlier in the space. But then now we've pulled back. Right. So what we can do from a capital perspective is we look at everything as what are we going to get the best return on, or what do we need to pay down because it's costing us too much. So we have a game plan. I mean, you alluded to the Detroit Lions in the beginning. And when you want to use the football reference, it's, we're running an option offense. And when the quarterback gets hiked the ball, there's probably 11 different options for this quarterback to do something. If the defensive end does this, we'll do this. And so we have strategy built out. And the huge component of this is what we do with our capital. And it's starting to resonate in our numbers. We have a lot of optionality around our debt. And when you think about no sale leasebacks and generating free cash flow, and then you think about getting into the U.S. capital markets, who do you think the lenders are going to come to first?
Absolutely.
And we're going to be ready to revisit that, refi.
Yeah.
Maybe do a line of credit, mid-single digits, and then, uplist institute. I mean, I'll start crying if I get too far ahead of myself with positivity, but I'm telling you, we're ready to go.
Well, let's talk about that positivity. It's been a month now since the HHS came out. Yeah. What was your reaction?
I guess a little surprised.
We all were, right?
Yeah, it was funny. It always catches me when I'm running on my way out to an appointment. But listen, it was welcome news, and we waited because you saw the markets go up as expected. And then day two, you saw the markets go up. And then day three, you saw the markets go up, and the volume was there, right? And so this is in light of not a lot of institutional dollars coming in. I'm getting a few new accounts that I'm talking to and trying to get them up to speed on the story, but you're seeing money that was sitting on the sidelines waiting for an event like this. Yeah. And so it was welcome news. I think it was a little bit surprising, as I mentioned. I think it was pulled forward just due to some of the dynamics around the political game that gets played. But again, I don't care. I don't care how it gets played out or how long this takes. It's just you want to get this across the finish line, and it's up to me to make sure that, from a capital markets perspective, that we're ready to go.
Yeah.
Are you seeing increased interest from institutions?
Yeah.
On the backs of this?
Yeah, and it's almost like renewed interest. In 2018, when I was at a different tier one operator, you go out and you do your IPO, your marketing, and you're talking to the big accounts. Yeah. And you're talking to people who are like, all right, we want to start doing our homework. And then 2019 turns into 2020, it turns into 2021 and they're just like, they lost interest a long time ago. But now you're starting to see some of these names that I was talking to early on start to revisit. And it's not a lot. And I'm not going through my entire Rolodex of when I was in the US side, but I'm telling you, there's big money that is starting to evaluate. But this is what I think people need to set the expectation for. Light switch goes on. You're not uplisting tomorrow. No. This could be a 12 to 18 month compliance regulatory review from these exchanges. Institutional dollars aren't necessarily coming in on the next day, and they don't care. They're pricing sensitive.
Believe that though?
Some do. Yeah. But I mean, you think about, some of these models that these buy side, analysts will build take 2 years. And so it's up to us to have better disclosure into the markets, make sure they understand the business. And the Wild West, days of me coming in and being like, all right, Chad, here's my 20-minute pitch and you're writing me a $15 million check. Those days are gone.
That's not happening.
And so this is we're in the big leagues now. We need to set the appropriate expectations. I do think some money comes in, but the big T-Rows and the Wellingtons and stuff like that, I mean, there's going to have to be compliance reviews and everything.
For the most part, though, when you recap this day as a whole, when you compare it to, say, previous conferences that we've attended to pertaining to this industry, have you seen a big difference today with the quality of investors that are here and the overall positive sentiment? Yeah.
And I think you've been seeing that kind of trend up. We went to an analyst conference last week, and lots of smiles, lots of interest, and not having to answer the same, questions over and over again. It's actually talking about what the positivity can look like, right? You're not playing defense. you're actually now playing offense, where you can actually start talking to, hey, why? This is why we all got invested in this in place space in the first place. But I'll say this: this is going to the Senate floor for a vote. That's monumental. That's historic.
Incremental, right?
Incremental.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
So you talked about options offense. So if you're the Lions, what position you playing? You quarterback, you tight end, you wide receiver?
I was an inside linebacker. I like to bust heads. So yeah. So
Ooh.
yeah.
We got John.
You're the quarterback of the defense too. So I always love that side.
Inside linebacker. We got Jon Levine over here from MariMed. He's a Pats fan. I'm curious to see what position he plays, right?
Yeah.
We got Timmy Seymour back behind us here, New York Giants fan. What the heck happened opening night against the Cowboys? 40-0, huh?
He brought up Aaron Rodgers' Achilles, and I said, leave Tim alone. It's Aaron Rodgers,
Well, listen, this has been great.
I love it. Yeah.
Let's keep talking. We'll bring John in right now.
Right.
John, get in here, bud. We're going to hear the Pats fans here. Anyways,
Sure.
Good seeing
Always.
you. Positive
Go
sentiment, to
Lions.
say the least.
Next time we're going to sing the Lions fight song. I know every word. So
There you go.
All right.
Good to see you. We'll see you at the event later tonight, all right?
John, how's it going? Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
John, good to see you. Yeah, have a seat right in the middle.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Good to see you.
See you.
Tim Seymour joining
Hi.
us as well. How's the day? How's the day been? How has the day been?
It's been a very good day.
Has it?
It's great to see a lot more enthusiasm about the cannabis industry. People actually getting more into it again. You know, it's been kind of dead the last 2 years, but there's a lot more excitement out there today.
When you say about more people getting into it, have you noticed like the faces in the crowd today and the quality of investors?
A lot of people coming back that haven't been around here, but they have a lot more pep in their step about wanting to talk about what's going on in the industry. So it's been a great day. Be able to inform people who MariMed is and get some new people following us as shareholders.
Great. So everything that's old is new again, right?
Absolutely.
Good to see you, sir. How are you doing?
Great to be here.
How's your day been? Just what your experience?
I'm really tired. I took a 6 a.m. flight out of New York. That was, I'm a professional. I should know better. I mean, that was brutal. But it is this. Give Benzinga some credit, and they're easy to give credit. I mean, they've created a community in cannabis that is at least representative right now of where I think both the investment community is and the professional community is. But they've done a wonderful job. So this is a great event. It's great to be here. You compare and contrast where we were in April in their Miami event versus where we are today. You compare and you contrast the news flow, and John's right. I mean, it's an exciting day. It's clearly just the dynamics of the ceremonial nature of what happened today on the Senate Banking Committee. But on some level, it was also great to me that the market didn't respond euphorically. And I like the fact that
Why is that?
Because, well, first of all, I feel as if the market already priced in this Senate Banking Committee news 3 weeks ago. And if you look at cannabis stocks, they've largely flatlined over the last 3 weeks with a lot of choppiness.
Yeah.
And even the volumes have come in. Nice to see stocks that should trade with more volume, like MariMed, pick up the pace a little bit. And I think, the reality is that there are people that have fresh conviction about fundamentals of those that are in the industry. Because I'm an investor. I run an ETF. I have a lot of my own money in here. I'm an investor in MariMed. I'm an advisor in MariMed, full disclosure. And I actually, great companies are, first of all, there are multiple great companies in the space. There are those that are struggling. There are those that I think have used this opportunity to get lean and mean. One of the topics on my panel today was just that the companies that have survived in this environment are some of the best operators out there. We know how complex this industry is. And it's I was able to elicit also just a CNBC reference, because after the crisis of 2008, all we did was talk about companies like Caterpillar and Deere. And I joked the CEO said this. So I took his line, which was the elephant can dance, which is what Caterpillar did during that time. And they came out a stronger company. So, but back to today, back to the sentiment here. It's sentiment in cannabis is within this community is always passionate and typically higher than it probably should be relative to fundamentals on the practical realities. But we all understand what these trends are and
We've
the
turned a
size of this
corner.
market.
Yes. Would you agree? We've turned a corner the last month.
Yes, because these are not wishes and prayers. The letter from HHS to DEA is a real thing, and it's based upon a scientific exploration by the FDA.
Yeah.
The most important thing about that, and I think what happened today with the Senate Banking Committee, is that this is more of a red story than a blue story. I actually think, or at least you're getting.
What do you mean by that?
You're getting follow through that allows everyone who sees their constituency be in favor of cannabis, gives them an avenue to actually be supporting.
Yeah.
So when you can support cannabis with science, and I'm not sure as industry participants we're thrilled that the FDA could possibly be the regulator, and whenever that timing might be. And I just mean that the putting science and putting reality and putting a balanced dynamic on the story that we always have known that cannabis has been a demand growth, addressable market growth, and those stories are alive and well. But I think the fact that the legislative points on the board is very important. And I'm not sure that we need to get a safe banking deal before the end of the year for the industry to see some follow through from the investment community.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I see it as a green market, not
There
because
you
of
go.
the Eagles
Yes.
or cannabis. I just see this as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Is we're all continuing to work forward on growing what we're already doing. MariMed is continuing to expand our business. We're focusing on what we had started. The banking bills and the rescheduling, those are all positives for our shareholders.
Yeah.
But we're not stopping what we're focusing on. We're focusing on building this the right way, keeping a strong balance sheet, and living to tomorrow.
Yeah. How'd the two of you meet?
We probably met through the late great, Bob Fireman, and who was not only a pioneer in the space, but a connector of people, and a connector of people, hopefully with like-minded value sets and whatnot. So I met at an event in Maryland where certainly MariMed has a growing and big presence and always has. I think I sat on a panel with Bob and my friends at Tikkun Olam, and kind of the rest is history. But one of the things that's been nice for me over the years is, first of all, this may sound like Jon told me to say this stuff, but the reality is MariMed has been very influential and formative in the foundation of a lot of cannabis companies. I know, and in fact, Tikkun Olam is a company that I was an early investor in because one of my partners from another life, meaning my days in Russia and emerging markets, when he was coming back to the U.S., he was tasked with building out Tikkun Olam's, and this is Israel's largest and first cannabis producer, but with a lot of science behind them, and really truly a brand. Long story short here, Tikkun Olam was needed the help of MariMed, frankly, and a lot of their relationships with some of their licensing partners, et cetera, and that's how I met Jon. That's how I met Bob. And it's been great to watch the progress.
I spoke to some of your team members this morning. They talked about just the overall turnout of investors this morning in comparison to, say, last spring and April. Night and day is the feedback that I received.
Yeah, I mean, this has been an incredibly wonderful day in terms of I was busy from 8 o'clock all the way right up till now, and I'm not done yet because we're going to have a great honor to my partner, brother, and friend, Bob Fireman.
That's awesome.
With an award that we're going to present tonight. So it party keeps going on.
Yeah, that's great. Well, listen, don't want to keep you guys because I know you're busy, but great to finally have the both of you on at the same time. Last question I'll leave, just kind of outlined that already, but I think people would like to hear just the both of you on what is it that you like most about MariMed moving forward? I'll ask that to you, Tim.
I think it's a company that has a combination of brick and mortar and great assets in interesting states, and also has a brand and can be asset light, and has proven that it can be profitable in different parts of the business. And as an investor, they're able to be successful in what will continue to be a competitive licensing process, which doesn't necessarily have to require a lot of money. And we've seen the intrinsic value generated there. I think it's a company that plays within itself. I think it's a company that has really strong brands, which are known in the markets that it's in. And I think those are brands that can probably get outside of the markets they're in.
That's great. It's a great endorsement, right?
It absolutely is. It's like Bob always said, brands are the future.
Yeah.
And we've been working hard on building our brand recognition, and the quality. And that's what we're going to continue to focus on.
All right, gents, enjoy your evening in Chicago. We'll keep in touch with you guys. Go Pats, should I say? Go Pats.
You can still be a fan.
I'm a fan of the Patriots, but I got to be a realist. I got to be rooting
It's
for
the
Miami right now.
It's the walking wounded in the league this year, is it not?
It is, but look at Miami. Look how juggernaut they are right
Yeah,
now.
I think Sean Payton's eating a few preseason words, that's for sure.
Just
70
a few
points. All right,
Yeah.
gents,
Thank you
appreciate it.
very much.
All right, take care.